Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. Today I'm back with a Who's Next video for none other than Errol Spence Jr. As you know, Errol Spence, he was able to pull out a decision over Shawn Porter last Saturday. He's now the IBF WBC welterweight champion. So now that he's both of these belts, man, he has a lot of options ahead of him. He has a lot of guys he was targeting as well as guys that are targeting him now. Especially after that performance, there's a lot of guys out there feeling like, oh yeah, I could beat him now, after seeing that. That's why I say shout out to Shawn Porter for being that guy to step up to actually take on Errol Spence Jr. But as far as like who could be next, I like to kind of do these videos, especially for guys, that are promising and, they have a lot of options ahead of them. For me, the three guys you see on the screen right here, man, these are three guys that I would like to see him get in the ring with. There's other guys like we always mentioned, Terrence Crawford, but these are the guys that he could actually fight, are very significant, as well as that, the possibility of them happening is much bigger than the Terrence Crawford fight right now. So just going down the list here, man. First up, of course, I have Shawn Porter on here again, man, because that first fight, man, it was great. That first fight was great. It was a very competitive fight. Do I feel like Errol Spence, he won a clear fight? I feel like he did. I agree that he did win, but I feel like he really went through hell in that fight. And I feel like he didn't get a chance to do everything he wanted to do or could have done in that fight. We like to see champions, in their tough fights, but we also want to see them really overcome adversity. In this fight, in the first fight, I really felt like Shawn was very tough for Errol. He's like a very tough code to crack, but I feel like Errol, his consistency really won him the fight. So going into a second fight, I would really like to see Errol in there as far as like, making adjustments, full-on adjustments and, capitalizing and, making an easier fight for himself. I know that's easier said than done, but, that would be something you want to see in Errol. And I think that's kind of what he wants to do because, on Instagram yesterday, he posted up, run it back. He posted up, run it back, and with the little shark picture, because I'm feeling like, he wants to run it back with Shawn Porter. He really feels like this is a fight that was really tough for him, but at the same time, he can win it again, And Shawn Porter, he replied on his Instagram, hey, he's ready. He's ready to do it again. So that's the kind of talk I like to hear, man, because like I said, 10 years ago or so, a lot of guys, even in the light heavyweight division, like Chad Dawson, he used to fight Glenn Johnson and Antonio Tarver. He fought them 2 times apiece. He fought Bernard Hopkins two times. So, rematches aren't anything new. It's just kind of hard to get a rematch now because sometimes guys are so bent up on undefeated records or they're so bent up on cash now. They want to be, getting more money. They all care about the A side, B side thing now. Whereas before, if two guys were so elite, if you were looking at the elite guys in there, they kept mixing it up no matter how many times it took. They would still make money, but at the same time, they would keep fighting each other because they didn't care about the record. See, most guys now, they kind of care about the undefeated record, but I'm starting to see with Errol Spence, it's about legacy. He wants to take on the tough guys out there because, I look at it like this, Errol and Shawn, they're kind of like the top guys right now. So off of that performance, if you look at Shawn, like Shawn didn't do bad enough to where he fell off the mountain. Like, let's look at it like this. Shawn and Errol were both on the mountaintop right here. They're both at the top. They both have belts. They both are fighting for the number 1 spot, And Errol, he just somehow gets the upper hand and he knocks Shawn off the mountain. But Shawn doesn't fall. Shawn Porter, he doesn't fall. Right now, he's hanging on the edge. He's hanging off that ledge with one hand. He's ready to pull himself back up. And once he pulls himself back up, he'll be ready again. And by that, I mean, he didn't do bad enough to knock himself down the mountain, and somebody else can come in. Nobody else in the welterweight division, is really deserving of a title shot right now. There is no other guy that performs so well that, hey, they get to, surpass Shawn and, go for an Errol Spence fight. No. Shawn did well enough to pull himself back up in a few months and train hard and get back in there with Errol. That's how good he fought. I still feel like he lost, but I feel like he really gave Errol Spence a very good competitive fight, better than anybody else has, So that rematch definitely has to happen. And I feel like that because, like I said, Errol, he probably wants to go back and prove to himself, hey, he can make this an easier fight, you know, even with his boxing skill. And business wise, man, if you think about it, the first fight was reportedly done like a little under 350,000 buys. And that's good for two black fighters when you think about it, man. Like they always try to say black fighters don't sell, but now we have two black fighters in here, you know, opposite each other, fighting and slugging it out like that. You rarely ever see that, you know. So now that that kind of factors in, you got to think if Errol Spence, you know, he has to kind of look at that and say, hey, man, we were able to do this, you know, on this platform. Two guys like us were able to do this and do this many numbers and bring this bigger crowd in. Shit, why not? We got to run it back, you know. And that makes sense. That's another good reason to do it again too, because hey, it'll make people say, hey, more and more they'll say black fighters coming in there, they're bringing in numbers, they're bringing in more action, you know. So definitely, man, really feel like Errol Spence Jr., Shawn Porter, that's a must. That's a must maybe for sometime early next year. Next fight, if the Porter rematch doesn't happen, you know, this fight was talked about like 2 days later. It was talked about in the ring that night. Danny Garcia wants to fight Errol Spence now. Errol Spence has been calling Danny out. Errol fights Shawn. Doesn't look invincible. Doesn't look scary. Danny comes to the ring, calls Errol out. That's how it goes. But yeah, now they're talking about trying to get a fight. It was reportedly, you know, talked about that Danny wanted to fight Errol sometime in January. And my thoughts on that is that's another good fight. As far as like style wise, of course I don't know because they never fought, but I think it's a good fight as far as putting another name on Errol's resume, and you know, putting another common name on his resume like all the other guys have, like Thurman and Porter. And good money, another good money fight. You know, Danny makes like $3 million a fight, so Errol, he's probably going to be guaranteed maybe 4 or 5. So it's another name. It's another big check for him. It's another big star fight for him. You know, Danny's got some star following. If Errol brings his crowd and he brings his crowd and he beats Danny, then, you know, he's on one more stepping stone or a couple more stepping stones for being a superstar. So, yeah, that's definitely another good fight that should happen if the Porter rematch doesn't happen. So, yeah, definitely would like to see that fight if that doesn't happen. But moving on to the last fight. This is the lotto ticket everybody wants. This is the big one, man. Manny Pacquiao. The Manny fight, I personally, you know, like I said, whenever he fought Keith Thurman at the time, I didn't really want to see it. But now it looks a little more interesting just because Manny was able to beat and he was able to sun Keith Thurman and put him in his place and actually make himself look good as far as like, hey, I can still bang with the young lions. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't come out by the skin of his teeth. You know, he came out looking good. So now he kind of puts himself in a second coming of Manny, where he could make this an interesting fight with Errol, you know. And for Errol, it's definitely a good fight for him because, like he said, he wants a big payday. You know, he wants to cross over to be a superstar. And not only that, now Manny has both of those WBA super or regular super whatever belt. It's a WBA belt. Manny has that WBA belt, and that's what Errol wants. You know, he needs that fight now because if he's going to hold that belt, he has to fight him and beat him so he can get have all 3 belts on this side. So from here, I know that Manny wants Mikey next. You know, that's, reportedly he wants to fight Mikey Garcia next. So if he can't get Manny at the moment, go for Porter, go for that Porter rematch, and then they can meet somewhere in the middle. So they'll probably fight around the same time. Mikey and Manny fight, then Errol and Porter fight again, and, the winners fight each other sometime in spring or summer. So that would be a perfect plan for Errol if he wants to go for a Manny fight, and if Manny wants Errol. And again, after Manny probably saw this Errol and Shawn Porter fight, he's probably feeling the same way Danny is, which, of course it's not wise thinking, but to think that, oh, he looks easy to beat, you know what I mean? Because styles make fights, but Manny might be feeling that way. So Manny might be, Errol might be getting that Manny fight he wants, so it's probably a benefit looking the way he did against Shawn Porter, So, yeah, man, those are the three fights that I would like to see Errol in. Like I said, they all make sense, and he has so many other options as well. Of course, if he can somehow get a Terrence Crawford fight, that would be nice, but I'd rather see these 3 fights right here. Also, if he couldn't make 147 anymore, he stated that he would move up to 154 to fight Julian Williams, which I like that too. You know, he's always talked about this big no-no fighting Canelo. You know, definitely don't do that yet, man. Don't fight Canelo right now. I don't think Errol is ready for a Canelo fight. But I like the fact that he's calling names out, and he has you know, he has these options. You know, it's really good to see a guy like Errol, you know, get some just due now. He's getting some you know, he's getting almost like a blueprint to help him lead to greatness. You know what I mean? And it takes hard work to get that way. You know, sometimes you know, it can come slow. Sometimes, you know, it'll come fast to some guys. And I think it's coming along nicely for him. You know, this Porter fight, it was kind of like it was kind of it was like I guess it was almost like a diamond in the rough. You know, a lot of people didn't expect this style matchup to be good or bring in this many people, but it did. You know, I personally, like I always say, I like this matchup, and I always kind of looked at this matchup before Spence and Crawford. I always wanted Spence and Porter. You know, I wanted Spence and Thurman. You know, I never really wanted Crawford in the mix at the time because he was at 140. But yeah, definitely, man. If he can get the rematch, you know, that's cool. If not, get the Danny fight, and then maybe get the Manny Pacquiao fight sometime next summer. You know, then close it out. Close 2020 out with Terrence Crawford fight. You know, that would be cool. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this one, guys. Just kind of want to go down that list of who's next for Errol Spence. Like I said, the options are unlimited for him right now. So yeah, man, if y'all agree with me, you know, just thumbs up. You know, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me who you want to see Errol Spence fight next, or leave his blueprint in the comment section. But yeah, man, that's all I got on this one, guys. Make sure y'all subscribe. I'm out. Peace.